So welcome to this session on midbrain. Now, before we um, go ahead with the sections of the brainstem, we should understand that brainstem looks like this from the front side, right? This is the midbrain. Okay, you must have seen the midbrain, and below the midbrain is the pons, and below the pons is medulla, and in the medulla there is pyramid, then anterolateral sulcus, then olives, then posterolateral sulcus. Okay. So the third nerve takes origin from here, side of the crus. And fourth nerve, which is the only nerve which is coming from the posterior aspect. Okay. So third nerve we see here, and fourth nerve we see wounding around from the posterior aspect. Now, when we look at the midbrain from posterior side, the brainstem looks like this, right? Where we see the floor of the fourth ventricle. And then there is this facial colliculus. So the brainstem, this is the anterior aspect and this is the posterior aspect. So right now we are currently restricting ourselves to midbrain only. So on anterior aspect, we see the crus, not crush, crus. And on posterior aspect, we see superior colliculus, inferior colliculus, and inferior colliculus. Together they are called as corpora quadrigemina. So now when we take a section, at this level, this is called a section at superior colliculus level, where anteriorly we will see the crus cerebri like this. And when we go on the posterior aspect, we will see the superior colliculus. So this is how the section will look. So anteriorly crus, okay, so the crus, both the crura will be seen like this, and posteriorly the superior colliculus, SC, superior colliculus. When we take a section at this level, so there are two sections of midbrain. So there at that level also anteriorly, so this is anterior, there will be crus cerebri. Okay, so this is the crus cerebri, and posteriorly will be inferior colliculus. So this will be how the sections is. This is anterior aspect which is seen here, posterior aspect seen here. So now let us go and draw the two sections of midbrain. Okay. Now, even before doing that, I just want to tell you that every section you will have to talk about gray matter, white matter. Okay, what all there are there, and the third thing you have to talk about is decussations. So all the 7 sections you have to talk about what gray matter, that is the nuclei are there, what white matter is there, and which are the decussations taking place, right to left, left to right, the fibers decussate. Normally you have to remember that if this level, superior colliculus level, third nerve is there, so I will, in the gray matter I will find the third nerve nuclei. If inferior colliculus level, fourth nerve is there, at that level I will find the fourth nerve nuclei. Now let us start drawing the two sections. Section at the level of inferior colliculus and section at the level of superior colliculus. Okay. Midbrain sections, why I have started with midbrain? Midbrain sections are the most easy sections. What you have to draw is two Bermudas. Okay. So looks like a Bermuda. Okay, two Bermudas. You can go a little deeper. And here also at the level of superior colliculus, I draw another Bermuda. So this is the crus cerebri. Okay, two crus. Inferior colliculus level, superior colliculus level. So here will be inferior colliculus, here will be superior colliculus. This is the level. Okay. Common, there will be gray matter like this. Okay, there will be gray matter with the central canal. Okay. At both the levels, there will be the mesencephalic nucleus of trigeminal. The mesencephalic nucleus of trigeminal. This mesencephalic nucleus of trigeminal receives the proprioception of all the head face neck muscles. What nerve is seen at the superior colliculus level? We know the third. So third nerve nucleus will be here. So here will be oculomotor nucleus, and here will be the trochlear nucleus. The fourth nerve, and here will be third cranial nerve nucleus. Okay. So mesencephalic nucleus to be shown at both the level. At superior colliculus show third level. At the third nucleus, at inferior colliculus show the fourth. Here we have one more nucleus, and that is Edinger-Westphal nucleus. Edinger-Westphal nucleus. Okay. Substantia nigra present at both the levels. So at this level also there is substantia nigra, and at this level also there is substantia nigra. Okay, both the levels we find substantia nigra. Then in the crus going down in the middle two-third almost, in the middle two-third on all the sides, the majority fibers are the corticospinal tracts. Corticospinal tracts. The corticospinal tracts. Corticospinal tract. Corticospinal tract. On the medial side are the frontopontine fibers. Okay, frontopontine fibers, and on the lateral side are the temporopontine, occipitopontine fibers. So these are the descending fibers. Descending fibers. Okay, corticospinal tracts, main corticospinal tract, and then frontopontine, temporopontine, occipitopontine. What we see at both the levels is a lemniscal band. Lemniscal band. And this lemniscal band, the most medial is the fibers from chief sensory nucleus of trigeminal. Then the next is medial lemniscus, which carries the general sensations of the body. Beyond medial lemniscus is trigeminal lemniscus, which carries pain and temperature of face. Beyond that is spinal lemniscus, which carries pain and temperature of body. And beyond that is lateral lemniscus, which ends here. Lateral lemniscus is auditory path. So lateral lemniscus we have to show ending in the inferior colliculus. Inferior colliculus is concerned with hearing. Superior colliculus is concerned with visual reflexes. Visual reflexes. Okay. So these are fibers from the chief sensory nucleus of trigeminal. Then there is medial lemniscus, trigeminal lemniscus, spinal lemniscus, lateral lemniscus. See, there is a sequence. Fibers from chief sensory nucleus of trigeminal carry the general sensations of face. Medial lemniscus carry general sensation of body. Trigeminal lemniscus carries pain and temperature of face. This carries pain and temperature of body. Lateral lemniscus is for hearing. This for here. Okay, so again I go. These are fibers from the chief sensory nucleus of trigeminal, medial lemniscus, trigeminal lemniscus, spinal lemniscus, lateral lemniscus ends here. That means at the level of superior colliculus, when I draw the lemniscal band, I just draw fibers from the chief sensory nucleus of trigeminal. Then I draw the medial lemniscus. Then I draw the trigeminal lemniscus. Then I draw the spinal lemniscus. That's all. No lateral lemniscus to be shown at the level of superior colliculus because it has relayed in the inferior colliculus. Lateral lemniscus is part of auditory pathway. Auditory pathway relays here, and from here it goes to the medial geniculate body, and from medial geniculate body it goes to 41-42 area. So inferior colliculus is a path of auditory pathway. Superior colliculus is not a part of visual pathway, but concerned with visual reflexes. Okay, so now we have shown the white matter descending. We have shown white matter ascending. We have shown gray matter nuclei, fourth nerve nuclei at inferior colliculus level, third nerve of the Wedinger Westphal, and pretectal nucleus also, pretectal nucleus. Pretectal nucleus. Now, only thing that remains is one more gray matter, which is here at the level of superior colliculus, and that is called as red nucleus. Red nucleus. Now, the tract arising from the red nucleus is called as rubrospinal tract, and that decussets here, and that is rubrospinal tract. That is called as the anterior decussation. It is called as the anterior decussation, which is seen at the level of superior colliculus. Okay. There are names for this decussation. Anterior ventral tegmental decussation, that is called as ventral tegmental decussation of Menard, of Forel. And then there is one more decussation here, dorsal tegmental decussation of the tectospinal tract. What is tectospinal tract? Arising from superior colliculus is a tract called as tectospinal tract. All of you know the posterior portion is called as tectum and anterior is called as tegmentum. So here we see two decussations. One is decussation of rubrospinal tract and second is decussation of tectospinal tract. Rubrospinal tract arises from red nucleus and immediately goes to the opposite side. So there is decussation. Tectospinal tract arises from superior colliculus and then there is a decussation. And here in between we see one more thing, MLF, medial longitudinal fasciculus. Medial longitudinal fasciculus connects the cranial nerve nuclei, all the cranial nerve nuclei. So cranial nerve nuclei have to be connected with each other. All the nuclei of the supplying the eye muscles, all the nuclei used in talking, like for example, lips are moved by facial nerve and larynx is moved by the vagus and cranial accessory, and palate is moved. So all these cranial nerve have to be connected with each other, and that is done by medial longitudinal fasciculus. So now when we come to inferior colliculus level, we see the medial longitudinal fasciculus here. Then we see this decussation has happened. So now we see two tectospinal tracts in midline. Okay, two tectospinal tracts in midline. And here also there is a decussation at the inferior colliculus level, and that is the decussation of the superior cerebellar peduncle. And beyond that, we see rubrospinal tract. So in short, here also it was medial longitudinal fasciculus, decussation of tectospinal, decussation of rubrospinal. Here we see medial longitudinal fasciculus and tectospinal tract. Here we don't see decussation because decussation has already happened. Crossing over has happened. Tectospinal and rubrospinal. Okay. So that almost completes our this thing. Pretectal nuclei sometimes is shown outside like this. At this level, they may show the pretectal nucleus. Pretectal nucleus is sometimes shown outside. So again, I will repeat. This is at the level of inferior colliculus. Anteriorly, this is the crus. In the crus, we see the corticospinal tract mainly occupying the 2/3. Okay, frontopontine and occipitotemporopontine. Then in the lemniscal band, fibers from the chief sensory nucleus of trigeminal, medial lemniscus, trigeminal lemniscus, spinal lemniscus, lateral lemniscus ends in the inferior colliculus. This side will not show lateral lemniscal, otherwise the lemniscal band remains same. Lemniscal band remains same. There are two decussations here at the superior colliculus level of the rubrospinal because red nucleus is here, tectospinal. In between, we show medial longitudinal fasciculus at both levels. Here we see tectospinal tract, here we show decussation of it. Here we show rubrospinal tract, and then here we show decussation of rubrospinal tract at a higher level. And this is the decussation of the superior cerebellar peduncle. Superior cerebellar peduncle. Okay. Now I'll tell you the philosophy of the tectospinal tract, which arises from superior colliculus. It arises from superior colliculus, and it crosses to the opposite side. Superior colliculus is connected to the retina. It is also connected to area number 17, 18, 19, concerned with vision of the cerebrum. And this tectospinal tract goes down and splits. It splits into tectobulbar, which will go to cranial nerve nuclei 3, 4, and 6, and tectospinal proper, which will end in cervical spinal cord. Cervical spinal cord, that is neck. So actual visual pathway runs from retina to area number 17, 18, 19. But both of them are connected with superior. So any flash of light we see, any flash of light the retina sees, goes to 17, 18, 19, that stimulates the superior colliculus. It sends the signals down, splits into tectobulbar, which supplies 3, 4, 6. So this turns our eyes. This turns our eyes to the light. Tectospinal, which ends on the cervical part of the neck, turns our neck. Turns our neck to the light. Okay. Now, below superior colliculus is inferior colliculus. All of us know the auditory pathway starts from the organ of Corti, and then there is a ganglion, and from there it comes to medulla, goes to the cochlear nucleus. Okay. From cochlear nucleus, it goes to the superior olivary nucleus, and then there is this trapezoid body, slight crossing over, and ultimately the auditory pathway reaches the inferior colliculus. So from organ of Corti, the sound what we hear, which has come from external ear, middle ear, has gone to the inner ear, organ of Corti, reaches the inferior colliculus. From inferior colliculus, it goes to medial geniculate body. From medial geniculate body, it goes to area 41, 42, and where the sound is interpreted. But now we also turn our head and neck and eyes towards the sound. So for that, we need a separate tract going like this. But God is a very intelligent engineer. So what he has done is, he has just connected inferior colliculus to superior colliculus. So whenever there is a sound, the sound goes like this, goes to 41, 42, and inferior colliculus stimulates the superior colliculus. Superior colliculus signals go down, split into tectobulbar. For cranial nerve nuclei 3, 4, 6, we turn our eyes, and to tectospinal, we turn our neck. Okay, so this is how we turn our eyes and neck in response to sound and in response to light also. In response to light by superior colliculus and mainly by the tectospinal tract. Okay. Now coming to the last component. Coming to the last component of the midbrain, and that is the applied anatomy. Applied anatomy. Midbrain is supplied by uh, mainly the posterior cerebral arteries. Okay, it is mainly supplied, the blood supplied by posterior cerebral artery. Now let us see the lesions of the midbrain. Okay, the lesions of the midbrain. Now again I am drawing a midbrain section over here. Okay, and this is the third nerve nucleus, and the third nerve passes like this. Third nerve passes like this through the red nucleus. Okay, through the red nucleus, and here is the crus. Okay, this is substantia nigra. Okay, this substantia nigra is part. This substantia nigra is the is very works in very close connection with the basal nuclei. And here is the lemniscal band, right? We studied the lemniscal band, and this is the superior follicles. So now there are different lesions that happen, and the commonest syndrome is called as Weber's syndrome. And in Weber's syndrome, this area is involved. That means can I say that here is the crus through which the corticospinal tract is going on. So Weber's syndrome, the third nerve will be involved, is equal to third cranial nerve supplies the medial rectus. So there will be lateral squint. Okay, lateral squint is third nerve plus red nucleus, and because the red nucleus is damaged, uh, there there will be some extra pyramidal symptoms also, but more than the red nucleus, it is third nerve. The red nucleus is damaged more in the other syndrome. Right now I'll just concentrate on Weber syndrome. So cranial nerve plus corticospinal tract. Okay, so because corticospinal tract will be there, there will be contralateral opposite side, contralateral hemiplegia, because this uh, corticospinal tract will go down and is going to cross to the opposite side. It is going to cross to the opposite side. So contralateral hemiplegia. Okay, there will be ptosis, because again the levator palpebris superioris, which is supplied by the third nerve, is involved. Okay, and their pupils will be dilated, because third nerve also carries fibers for the sphincter pupillae muscle. Pupils will be dilated, because third nerve carries the fibers of the Edinger-Westphal nucleus also. So Weber syndrome is this. So third nerve, lateral squint, corticospinal tract, so contralateral hemiplegia, ptosis, and pupils are dilated. Now when we talk about another syndrome, which is called as Benedict syndrome. Benedict syndrome. So now I'm marking it with the red. Okay. So in the Benedict syndrome, it is the red nucleus. And so Benedict syndrome, so Weber syndrome was third nerve nucleus plus motor fibers. Benedict's is third cranial nerve plus red nucleus plus sensory system. Okay. So again, there will be lateral squint, because red nucleus is involved. There will be tremors on the opposite side, contralateral tremors, and because the sensory system, there is contralateral loss of pain and temperature, Okay, because spinal and trigeminal lemniscus is involved. Because the medial lemniscus is involved, there will be loss of tactile sensations. So these two are because trigeminal lemniscus and spinal lemniscus, which carry the pain and temperature of face and body. Okay, they carry the pain and temperature of face, and this carries pain and temperature of body, spinal lemniscus. Because medial lemniscus is also involved, there is loss of tactile sense, the tactile, muscle, joint, vibration, sense, everything will be gone. And because red nucleus is involved, there will be contralateral tremors. So Benedict syndrome is third nerve plus sensory system getting affected, also red nucleus. Weber's is third nerve plus motor system, that is the corticospinal tract. And sometimes there is a syndrome called as the Perinaud syndrome. Perinaud syndrome. And this Perinaud syndrome is here superior colliculi are involved. Okay. So when superior colliculi are involved, there is loss of upward gaze. Okay. And it is very difficult to explain why anatomically this happens. Okay, so we studied Weber syndrome, we studied Benedict syndrome, Perinaud syndrome, and the last thing is the Ergil Robertson pupils. Ergil Robertson pupils, where the light reflex is lost, but accommodation reflex is intact. So what has happened is, I said pre-tectal nucleus is here. So this happens when there is lesion of pretectal nucleus. Okay, pretectal nucleus. So again, I'll repeat. Perinods when the superior colliculus are involved. Ergil Robertson pupil when pretectal nucleus is involved. So light reflex is lost, but accommodation reflex is there. So now last few minutes, and again I'll revise. We started with seeing the anterior aspect of brainstem. This is midbrain anterior aspect. This is the third nerve, which comes on the side of the crus. This is the fourth nerve, which comes from behind. Posterior aspect, we see superior colliculi, inferior colliculi. So when we take a section at the level of superior colliculi is seen here, crus is seen here. Crus is seen here, inferior colliculus is seen here at the lower level. So there are two sections in midbrain, upper level, lower level. Both of them, you draw a Bermuda. Put superior colliculus behind here, put inferior colliculus behind. Amongst the lemniscal band, which starts with chief sensory nucleus fibers of trigeminal, then medial lemniscus, trigeminal lemniscus, spinal lemniscus, lateral lemniscus. So lateral lemniscus relays in the inferior colliculus. So no lateral lemniscus seen here. So lateral lemniscus is the additional feature at this level, and red nucleus is the additional feature at superior colliculus level. No red nucleus to be shown at inferior. In midline, there are three structures. Medial longitudinal fasciculus connecting the cranial nerve nuclei, tectospinal, rubrospinal. But these two decussate at the upper level. So upper level we show decussation of tectospinal, decussation of rubrospinal. Here we show decussation of the superior cerebellar peduncle. Here we show the corticospinal tract and corticonuclear fibers. Frontopontine fibers are here. Occipitopontine and temporopontine fibers are. Coming to the gray matter. Okay. In the gray matter, common feature is mesencephalic nucleus of trigeminal, which is the only first order neurons located inside the central nervous system. Okay, and then there is third nerve nucleus, which is there along with Edinburgh-Westphal nucleus. Here it is fourth nerve nucleus at the level of inferior colliculus. Pretectal nucleus is located outside. Then we talked about the syndromes. Weber syndrome, third nerve plus corticospinal. Benedict syndrome, third nerve plus red nucleus plus sensory system. Perinaud syndrome, both superior colliculi and Argyll-Robertson pupil where only pretectal nucleus is affected, so light reflex is lost and accommodation reflex is intact. So that's all about the mid